the organizers of the Country in Focus seminar, my fellow speakers, distinguished guests, friends. Having listened to two speeches before about the type of problems that we are having at the moment in this country, my presentation will be more about the future. However, before we talk about the future, I would like to touch a little bit on what these people on the screen did to our country as well. Because everything that Mr. Cabral mentioned about the collapse of our economy was due to the incompetency of these people. A team of actors who fooled the country for 5 years. And now they're only going to change their roles. And the lead actor is going to hand over the reins to another person in the team, but it's the same team, the same group. Nothing is going to be different if these people come back to power. What they did during the last 5 years to this economy is unbelievable. How can somebody bring down an economy which was growing at 6.8% on average for 3-4 years consecutively to 1.6% over the last 5 years? It's not an easy task. But these guys were determined and they were successful, and they now want to make it minus growth. So they're asking us for a fresh mandate to do that. But unfortunately for them, they are not going to get it this time. We will stop this drain and we will reverse it. What is important here is to understand not only the loss of growth rate, but the lost opportunity. When Mr. Niwat Cabral was the governor of Central Bank, there was a system that every year the Central Bank predicted the economy of the country for the next 3 to 4 years. They called it Central Bank Roadmap. Every year I used to go for that in January, first week. And everything that they predicted was reviewed the following year. And we always found their predictions were almost 90 to 95% accurate. Of course, there could be something that didn't happen. Then they took action, corrective action. That's how the country progressed. Look at what they projected for the country in 2015, January. And if I remember correctly, 2nd January 2015, when Mr. Niwat Cabral presented the Central Bank roadmap, they predicted an economy as big as 144 billion by 2019. But today, we are at 89 billion, almost $50 billion behind. Now, to understand $50 billion, just think of Hambantota Port, as Governor Cabral said, 50 Hambantota ports is what we have lost, the lost opportunity. With Hambantota Port, they gave away for $1 billion. So this is $50 billion that we have lost by keeping this set of jokers in power for the last 5 years. Now when you look at the future, now we have 2 presidential candidates in this race. Out of 35, only 2 meaningful. And you can clearly see the difference in their visions from what they have been doing. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa represents the former government, which had a vision, which had a plan, which did everything in a systematic manner. And Mr. Sajith Premadasa, who is now asking your mandate to run the country for the next 5 years, has gone back 30 years. Trying to do what his father was doing 30 years ago. When your father did those things, it was meaningful to some extent. Because yes, there were problems. The country was not developed. That approach would have been appropriate at that time, but not anymore. The population has grown. The country has changed. Now, if this guy can't think beyond what his father did 30 years ago, are we going to give power to him? That's the question that we need to ask. However, we now have an opportunity to continue our journey with a man who has a vision, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. I've known Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa for more than 10 years very closely. And after the defeat of 2015, I worked very closely with him. I spent hours and hours discussing about the problems of this country, discussing about the future of this country. He's a true patriot. And what I found, particularly during that period, that he's a man who reads a lot, who thinks a lot, and who has a very clear vision for the country. So over the last 4 years with our colleagues at Vietmagar, Elia, Harimagar, and various other organizations, we entered into a dialogue, conversation, as to what kind of changes that the future government should bring about to develop this country, to take the country out of this misery. And he sometimes spent hours and hours listening to people coming and doing presentations on various subjects. And when we came up with his manifesto for this presidential election, the contents of that manifesto came from these discussions. In fact, we appointed 20 different groups comprising 480 people, and they sat together, 480, and they sat together and came up with proposals. And we then again evaluated those proposals. And we tried to understand whether those proposals that those committees presented are in line with Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's thinking, his ideology. And he has a very, very clear ideology. That's why I named my presentation the New Political Ideology. And those things had to be fitted in. Certain proposals we had to reject because of that. So we picked what fits in there. So my next 2-3 slides, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain to you what that ideology is. You may remember when Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa made his acceptance speech on the 11th August 2019, after he was nominated as the presidential candidate. The speech was made in Singapore. He said something like this. Ape aramuna paladai purvasiya satutin jeevat wena pawulak gunagarva samaja saubhagyavat desha. A productive citizen, a happy family, a disciplined society, and a prosperous nation. So these are not just words. That very clearly tells you what is aspiration, what is vision for this country. Why a productive citizen? Because we do not want poverty in this country. Now, Mr. Sajid Premadasa, as Mr. Kabran mentioned, wants poverty to continue. Because his politics depends on poverty. His father also did the same thing. Serepu denne ekai. Hama uddar serepu denne to keep assuming that you will remain in poverty. So why do you need slippers the next year if you are going to solve their problem? Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa wants to take these people out of poverty. Right now, there are 1.5 million Samruddhi holders. Easily more than 1 million people in absolute poverty. After 5 years of governance by this incompetent government, the numbers may be much higher than that. So he wants to make sure every citizen of this country becomes a productive citizen who can make his own living. And his plans that are there in this manifesto are how to do that. How can you make these people more educated? How can you make these people more skilled? How can you develop entrepreneurship? How can you give the resources what they need to get out of poverty? So there's a plan to do what he wants. Happiness. He says that what is more important is just not how much wealth you have or the economy, but the happiness of the nation. Are our people happy? Do they get what they want to be happy? The education of their children, housing, healthcare, safety, the opportunities to entertain themselves, and that is what makes a family happy. So whatever we do as a government, we must make sure that our nation is a happy nation. So the policies must be developed for that. A disciplined society. We all complain about lack of discipline in this country, the lack of law. So that is something that he's very particular about. He started his campaign saying, I will create a disciplined society. What is prosperity? Saubhagya. Saubhagya, we can define prosperity under three things. One, we need peace. I mean, we haven't had peace in this country for so many decades. We are fighting each other, our own brothers and sisters. Jati agam bed, mona jati the merata aiti, koi jati the loku, koi agam the vedagar. And the problem continues with all those things. Do we have to continue that? Don't we have to come out of this mess and stand up as a true Sri Lankan nation? And I think in his philosophy, that is very clear. We must look for solutions that will bring about sustainable peace for this country, not create further problems. Then there's the sovereignty of this country. Like what Dr. Palita Kumana mentioned, without compromising our sovereignty, to fulfill the expectations of other nations, we must look after our interests first. For thousands of years, we have stood for our sovereignty. We can't compromise that now. And the next one is the economic development. We have to be a developed nation. We can't keep saying that we are a developing nation. After 70 years since independence, we still call ourselves a developing nation. We can't go like that, we need to change that. Then he used another interesting phrase. Janata Kendriya Arthikya. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa හැමතිස්සෙම මේ වචනේ පාවිච්චි කරනවා. ජනතා කේන්ද්‍රීය ආර්ථිකය. Mr. Sajith Premadasa, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa කියන හැම දෙයක්ම කොපි කරනවා. Gotabaya Rajapaksa මහත්මයා මොනවද කියන්නේ? පහුවද Sajith Premadasa මහත්මයා ඒක කොපි කරනවා. I think හරි වාසනාවන්තයි. But he has somebody to copy from. Right? He doesn't have as much new ideas, but he has a man from whom he can copy. So whenever Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa goes and says something with a purpose behind, Mr. Sajith Premadasa repeats that or says he's going to do better. පුරසානන්දරේ නොබල දෙනවා කියලා කිව්වම මේ රටේ ආහාර සුරක්ෂිතතාවය ඇති කරන්න ඒක කොපි කරනවා. වැවිලි කරුවන් රුපියල් 1000 දෙන්නම් ගම 1500 දෙන්නම් කියලා කියනවා. විශ්වවිද්‍යාලවලට සුසුකම් ලැබෙන හැම සිසුවෙක්ම විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට ගන්නන් ගම එකක් කියනවා. මොනවද කියන්නේ එකක් කියනවා. So he actually delayed presenting his manifesto. He changed the date and waited till Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa presented his manifesto. And about a week later, when Mr. Sajith Premadasa's manifesto came, I saw on a stage, he was making a statement like that. He was holding his manifesto and saying, "Meka venna kawurut liyapu ekak neveyi pratipathiya." Meaning, within brackets, written by Mr. Sajith Premadasa. Then they collected that manifesto and read the manifesto. 70% of the contents of that manifesto taken from Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. 20% from Mr. Anukumara Sarnayaka. The balance 10% from Ranil Wickremesinghe. So I wonder what Mr. Sajith Premadasa wrote. Because there's nothing that he says in the manifesto. There's nothing in the manifesto that he says. So he's talking whatever Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa said previously. Anyway, coming back, Gotabaya Rajapaksa මහත්මයාගේ මේ ජනතා කේන්ද්‍රීය ආර්ථිකය කියන එකත් අන්න මේ manifesto එකේ තියෙනවා. Gotabaya Rajapaksa මහත්මයා ජනතා කේන්ද්‍රීය ආර්ථිකය කියලා කියන්නේ it's a very meaningful term. The people-centric economy has 4 pillars according to him. This is something that you need to understand. When we run this country after 17th of November, whatever we do will be based on this ideology. What are the contents of that people-centric economy? The first one is that every single citizen in this country must have economic stability. ආර්ථික ස්ථාවරයක් හැම කෙනෙකුටම තියෙන්න ඕන. අර මුලින් කිව්වා අර දුප්පත්කම කියලා තියෙන බෑ කියන එක stems from that. Every citizen of this country must be economically stable. So whatever we do as a government, we must keep that in mind. It is not just some rich people getting richer, big companies making money, and we are so happy about GDP. No. We have to make sure that the bottom end of our society is also economically stable. That's the starting point. The second one is that every citizen of this country must have equal opportunities to progress. අපි හැම කෙනෙක්ම දියුණු වෙන්න එක වගේ උත්සාහ කරන්නේ නැහැ. එක අය එක විදිහට දියුණු වෙන්න කැමති. සමහර අය මහන්සි වෙනවා, සමහර අය මහන්සි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. but කවුරු හරි ඉන්නවනම් දියුණු වෙන්න කැමති ඒ පුද්ගලයාට දියුණු වෙන්න සම අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා. දේශපාලන හයිය ඕන වෙන්න බෑ. රාජ්‍යයේ ඇඳුනුම්කම් ඕන වෙන්න බෑ. නිලධාරීන් අඳුරගෙන ඉන්න ඕන වෙන්න බෑ. සල්ලි තියෙන්න බෑ. දියුණු වෙන්න සම අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා. That's the second aspect of people-centric economy. Third one is dignity. We must treat our people with dignity. Because every person, what he or she wants most is that person's dignity. That is something that we must understand. But මේ ළඟදී ව්‍යාපාරික කට්ටිය මාතරම රැස්වීමට ගියාම ව්‍යාපාරික 1500ක් විතර මම ආමන්ත්‍රණය කරාට පස්සේ එක ව්‍යාපාරිකයෙක් ඇවිල්ලා මම ගාවට ඇවිල්ලා සර් අපිට මේ රජයේ නිලධාරීව සලකන්නේ සත්තුන්ට වගේ කියලා. I don't know how many businessmen here agree with me. How can that be? A businessman is somebody that has to be respected. Somebody who creates employment. Somebody who pays tax. Somebody who is the foundation of this economy. So they must be treated with respect. And not only a businessman, every citizen of this country must be treated with respect. The government must treat people with respect. The efficiency, the elimination of corruption, all those things fall under that. And the last one, very important, the priority for locals. Priority for locals. Now this is also very, very important. මට මතකයි මේ ළඟදී මේ අපේ ප්‍රධාන මේ මාධ්‍ය ජාලයක සභාපති කෙනෙක් මට කිව්වා මේ පුරවැට හිතාගන්න පුළුවන් කවුද කියලා. මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයකට යා ගිහින් කතා කරාම ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් ක්‍රසිංගට. අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා මේ අපිට මේ ගැටලු විසඳලා දෙන්න කියලා කිව්වම ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් ක්‍රසිංග වල ආයිසේ තමුසෙලාට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ ලෝකයක් එක්ක තරඟ කරන්න. මේ මෙතන වෙලා උපකාර ඉල්ලන්න එපා. That is mentality. That is the mentality of those who believe in extreme open economy. That doesn't work. It has failed. It has failed all over. Even in America, Trump is talking about protecting national industries today. From China to Russia to Europe to America, people have realized you have to first protect your industries, your entrepreneurs. So we are very particular about that. Whatever we do under our government, in our economic management, we will give priority to our people. Even when it comes to employment, that will be the same. We will not bring foreigners in unless it is absolutely necessary. If you can develop somebody from within the country, train and use, we will always encourage businessmen to use local talent. Now, next. Now, when you want to develop, like we spoke about development now, how do we develop? In order to develop, you must think like a company. If you are managing a company, if you are a CEO of a company, what do you do? When you undertake an assignment, a new business, what do? You look at your strengths, you look at your capabilities, you look at your resources, then you look at your opportunities out there in the market, and you bridge the opportunities with their resources. Why don't we do the same thing with the country? That is what Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa says. He says, let's first, if you look at our strengths, there are basically three. One is our strategic location, our natural resources and man-made resources, and of course our human capital. I'm not going to go into great detail because of interest of time, but these are the three main strengths we have. So we need to look at ways and means of getting the best out of these strengths. The strategic location, the natural and man-made resources, and the human capital. Then what are the opportunities? Opportunities are primarily twofold according to him. And this is what came out from our discussion. One, the world economies, center of gravity of the world economy is shifting towards Asia. Asia is rising. Asia is going to be the biggest market. From Turkey to China, 5 billion people. Almost every industry, every country is doing well. In the Asian region, except Sri Lanka and Afghanistan, every other country is growing at more than 5% today. It's even better when it comes to East Asia. So this is where your opportunities will lie. If our industrialists can identify opportunities in these markets, and if a country can, if the government can help them to identify those and cultivate those, then there's a big opportunity that we can find. We don't have to look at America and Europe all the time. It's a mindset. I remember when I became chairman of tourism in 2011. If there are people in the tourism industry here will remember, at that time the tourism, the numbers were less than 500,000. President Mahinda Rajapaksa told me we have to bring it to 2.6 million by 2016 when I was appointed as chairman. I went and looked at the industry and I asked them one question. Why don't you look at China? Why don't you look at India? Why don't you look at Middle East? Because they were the countries where the biggest outbound tourism was. And China at that time, outbound tourism was 19 million people a year. And our industry initially argued with me and said, no, that type of tourists don't fit in here. We are catering to a European market. No? But today what's the situation? We worked at it, I pushed, and today the highest number of tourists to Sri Lanka come from China, next from India, next from Middle East. It's the same here. We must get out of the mindset that we need GSP Plus to live in. It is not. No, there are far bigger opportunities in the Asian markets. Okay, that is one. What is the second one? The second one is that the world is moving towards the fourth industrial revolution. The use of new technology, the connectivity. We have missed three opportunities in industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution, the steam power. The second industrial revolution, which came with mass production, electricity, etc. The third one, computing. All those we missed because of our circumstances. But now the fourth industrial revolution, which comes with connectivity, it's something that our younger generation hold on to. If you give them the right knowledge and training, it doesn't take much time for them to get adapted. We can ride on this. මේ රැල්ල අපි අල්ල ගන්න ඕනේ. ගොඩාක් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා පැහැදිලිව කියනවා මේ තාක්ෂණයේ අද ඇති වෙන අලුත් නැඹුරු අපි ඉක්මනට අල්ලගත්තොත් ඉතුරු අවුරුදු දෙක තුන ඇතුළත probably here is our window of opportunity. So what do we have to do? Three things I'm going to mention. The first one, focus on your human capital. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa says, you must have heard, මම අධ්‍යාපන වෙනුවෙන් විශාල මුදලක් වැය කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒක හරියට යුද්ධෙට විශාල මුදලක් වැය කරා වගේ. ඒ වෙලාවේ එතුමා ආරක්ෂක ලේකම් වශයෙන් පත් වෙච්ච වෙලාවේ එතුමා ගිහිල්ලා ඉල්ලුවා විශාල බජට් එකක්. ඒ බජට් එක දෙන්න පුළුවන්කමක් තිබුණේ නැහැ ආණ්ඩුවට ඒ වෙලාවේ. නමුත් එතුමා ඒ වෙලාවේ කිව්වා මට මේ මුදල දෙන්න මම යුද්ධ ඉවර කරන්න පස්සේ තමුන්නාස්ලේක දියුණු කරන්න. එතකොට අපේ මිස්ටර් කබ්‍රාල්, ડોક્ટર පී.බී. ජයසුන්දර වගේ අපිට හිටියා හොඳ ඉකොනොමිස්ට් ටිකක් මේ වෙලාවේ. ඒක කොහොමද සල්ලි හොයලා දුන්නා? Because that was the priority and we ended the war. And after the country started growing, you saw the results. Similarly, he says education is the key. Education in every sphere, from primary to tertiary. Everything has to be reformed. The resources must be allocated. The technical education, IT education, all those things have to be focused on. Next one is using technology in every field. Now, if technology is the way to go, we must start using technology in everything. Start with the government itself. Now, take for example our digital ID. Do you know how long we have been trying to implement the digital ID? 30 years. 30 years. This country has been discussing a digital ID. Even Maldives, our next door neighbor, has now introduced that. Why couldn't we introduce those things? Because of corruption. Every time somebody tries to do this, somebody tries to win the contract, they fight each other and nothing happens. I think all those things will change under government by Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. We need to bring technology to eliminate corruption. Today people have to go, waste time at customs, waste time at inland revenue, waste time trying to get approvals from various departments. Depending on people, we need to change that, bring real e-government into the system. And also use technology in every sphere, whether it is industry, whether it is service, whether it is agriculture. We can make a lot of changes by using technology. Take Netherlands for example. Netherlands is 2/3 size of Sri Lanka. But Netherlands exports $100 billion worth of agricultural products. Sri Lanka exports only $2.6 billion. What a difference. And where is the difference? That's in the use of technology. So we need to go, give our farmers the right technology, educate them, make them entrepreneurs. That is the vision of Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and create a true digital society. Finally, the way we govern. We need to change this political culture. Now, if you say after 70 years we have not developed, we need to identify the root cause. What was wrong? Why is the rest of the country in Asia were moving forward? What held us back? And we can narrow it down to the way we govern, the political culture we have. We need to change that. So Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa says, once he becomes the president, he will introduce the meritocracy and technocracy into government. Starting from the cabinet, put the right guy for the job and make sure that they have the right skills to deliver them. Same goes for departmental heads, same goes for institutional heads. And if you don't have skills, of course we don't have skills. In our country, because of 30 years long brain drain, we do not have good people, we must admit that. We don't have sufficient number of good people. So then train them. You can send them abroad. Even SLS officers, send them abroad and train them. But make sure that they are ready to do their job. Stop appointing people for political connections. Here, once I went to Sri Lankan Airlines to deliver a speech, Sri Lankan Airlines and Airport Aviation. On my way, when Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa heard that I was going there, he gave me a call or something. He said, when you go there, tell them, we will never appoint a chairman to those institutes because of political connections. We will appoint only people who are competent. And when I gave that promise, they were so happy. And that is what is going to happen with the Gotabaya government. And despite what people talk about Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the rule of law will be established. Niti Adipatya, අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන් ආරක්ෂා කරනවා. හැබැයි නීති ආධිපත්‍ය කියලා නීතිය නම එක අපි නතර කරනවා. අපි නීතිය හරියට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ කියන්නේ සමත සමාන නීතියක් එක රටකට එක නීතියක් කියලා. මම ඔය කතා සඳහන් කරා corruption නැති කරන එක ගැන. Last, if I have 2 minutes, Sabri, I would like to mention about this also. අද උදේ මම මේ ස්ලයිඩ් එක දාන්න හිතුවේ. අද උදේ ඉඳලා මේ මට කීප දෙනෙක්ම කතා කරා අපේ හිතවත්තු කතා කරලා අහනවා මේ ડોක්ටර් මොකද වෙන්නේ? බය වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ නේද? බය වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ නේද කියලා බය වෙනවා මටම. කෙනෙක් කියනවා මේ ડોක්ටර් මම අද 3-4 පාරක් කෝල් කරයි ડોක්ටර්ට තරහ නැතුව ගන්න කෝල් එක. මොකද මේ හරිම ටෙන්ෂන් එකේ ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් මම කිව්වා මට මේකට ඇත්තද වගේ ටෙන්ෂන් එක අදාළ ඉන්න කියලා. So if that gentleman is here, I can help him with this slide. Let me explain you how the numbers look. Now there are two things. One is mathematics. The second one is the political reality. I'm going to now show you mathematics. Political reality may be slightly different. Now if you look at the previous election results, you can predict the outcome of the next election to some extent. Then of course you need to bring in the political reality into that. What is the last election that we have had? The last election we have had was the local government election we had on the 10th February 2018. And in that election there were various parties contesting. And all those parties are now, this time, have joined one candidate or the other. So you can make a prediction based on that, what is going to happen based on the number of votes each party got. Now, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has been supported by SNPP, mainly the party that nominated him. Before that, at this election, this time, 16 million voters are registered. If you take 82% as the number who will vote and roughly 1.5 to 2% rejection, we estimate about 13 million to be the valid votes. 50% of that is 6.5 million is the number that you need to win. Now, how does the numbers look now if you look at the previous election? In the previous election, SLPP as a party got 50 lakhs. SLFP, a party that is going to support them now, got 14 lakhs. Now let's assume after that 14, 12 will remain here and 2 will go there. I don't think 2 will go, but assume, let's give that benefit to Mr. Premadasan, that is 62, right? And then Mr. Tondaman got about 100,000 votes, one. Then Mr. Douglas Devananda got about 80,000 votes. Mr. Kavanamman, Pilyan, that group got another 45,000 votes. So all those small parties who are supporting Atta Ullah, who said, let's say another 1 lakh, so you can put that 1 lakh also. Then on top of that, there's another group that are voting this time who didn't vote previous occasion. That is the first time voters, and about roughly about 200,000 people for whatever reason didn't vote last time. So out of the first time voters, all our research show that there are at least 70% of them are going to vote for Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, which is a very good sign. That is not just one research. We get this research continuously every week. Youngsters are smarter than older people. So that is why 70%. Yeah? So that is 6 lakhs. So you can take 4 lakhs here. And the other 2, I divide into 2. Let's say 1 lakh for Mr. Premadasan, 1 lakh for Mr. Anandkumar Saranaik and all others. There are 33 others now, right? Right. So now this adds up to 6.9 million. He needs only 6.5. So he starts with this, clearly above his requirement. Where does Mr. Sajid Premadasa stand? Well, the UNF, the UNP front got 36 lakhs votes at the last election. And all the parties supporting him now this time, the TNA, Mr. Ravi Chapakaranavar's party, Mano Ganeshan, Richard Badruddin, Rauf Hakim, all those put together, it's about 8 lakhs, not more. So some of the other minorities are supporting this side. Mr. Tondaman has the biggest chunk of that, right? So all those people have got 8 lakhs. 7 lakhs. Then SLP I put 2, and new voters 1, and from that 200,000 also I took 50% here. So that gives him 4.7 million. And Mr. Anandkumar Saranaik and Marshall Naik and all those people will have about 6. So this is what the mathematics say. So the political reality is whether this equation can change because of circumstances. Now, what are the circumstances? What happened after 2018, February 10th? Has this government done anything better? The only thing that happened was the Easter Sunday attack. And the security has gone for a 6. The Millennium Challenge Corporation. So many other issues that will erode the base of the government. The Catholic belt is not going to vote the way they voted UMP last time. The Muslim friends here who were deceived at the 2015 election are not going to get caught to their lies once again. The Tamil population who haven't got anything from TNA for the last 5 years are not going to vote the same way they voted last time. So the political reality is going to be even worse for Mr. Sajid Premadasa. So, ladies and gentlemen, then nothing to worry. On the 16th of November, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa is going to have a resounding victory. And then onwards, we will start a fresh journey as has explained you so far. So, on the 16th, please get up early morning, grab your spectacles because the voting card is too long and too complicated. Go and vote and do your duty, and Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa and us will do our duty. Thank you.